All right, so welcome everybody to our second Sparking Innovation virtual learning series. We had our first one this morning with Carnegie Learning, and the entire population of Dorset Collegiate joined us. They've rearranged their schedule and stopped the bell. Can you imagine a school without a bell? How amazing that would be every day, 190 days of the school year. No learning interrupted by a bell. So we have some other new people with us this afternoon. Thanks so much. Remember to share with your colleagues that if they're not able to attend with their students, we will be updating the website, hopefully by the end of the day today, with recordings as the sessions happen. We're going to try to get it as punctual as we can to the time of the actual session. I want to thank, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nikki O'Brien MacDonald, and I am the Senior Management Officer for Programs, Learning, and Innovation. And I am happy to share that we've are engaging in a learning partnership with techNL, Susan Kelly in my top left-hand corner, and Jacqueline Lee was also very instrumental, PolyUnity, with really getting this partnership underway. And we are all really passionate. We share the same passions. They are coming to us from techNL and business partners in our business community, but we all still share the same vision and what we want from this. And as you know from the infographic that was shared, there's three main goals with this. We want to highlight the tech careers for all students in our schools, particularly, STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math. We want to build those partnerships and help our students and our teachers make those partnerships with community partners so that in the business community, so that they can make connections to how they might be able to incorporate essential skills that will prepare our students to be future ready. And really to create some exposure of how diverse and dynamic the tech sector here is in Newfoundland and Labrador. We had a great session this morning. I'm going to pass it over to Susan Kelly. For those of you who are joining on a smart board or sound may not be that great, you have closed captioning at the bottom middle of your screen. You may find it helpful to turn that on. And the chat bar is there. Engage in conversation through that, or simply turn on your mic and join in. This is a very fluid, safe space to ask questions, to inquire, be curious, and to learn together. I'm going to pass it over to you, Susan, and let you take it from here.
Thank you, Nikki, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are so excited for part 2 of our first day of the Sparking Innovation virtual learning series. We're hoping to reach students and teachers from all over the province. And this series is going to feature speakers from everyone in tech across all different roles: software engineering, design, computer science, customer success, business, marketing, all of those great roles. There's a space for everyone in tech. And this is all about showing you what you can do with your passions and how you can integrate that into a really successful and meaningful career. So we're so happy that you're joining us. And if you're watching in the recording, feel free to reach out to us here at techNL, and we're going to be happy to interact with you as much as possible. If you are on the live, please use the chat bar, as Nikki said, to send in questions or comments, and we'll bring them up as they're relevant in the presentation, or we'll wait till the end. But I'm not going to delay any further. We're going to get to our session today with Jacqueline Lee and Catherine Ledwell. They're joining us from PolyUnity Tech, and they're going to tell us all about the amazing wide world of additive manufacturing with 3D printing. So over to you, ladies.
Thank you so much, Susan. Catherine, I just want to bring up a presentation. We'll get right into it. We are so excited to present to you today. We've been working on this for months, and today is finally the day. So first up, we're just going to let Catherine introduce herself.
Okay, so my name is Catherine Ledwell. I'm so excited to be here today talking to you about PolyUnity. So I'm a senior mechanical engineering student at Memorial University. I actually have 3 weeks left until I graduate, and I have done 3 work terms with PolyUnity. I'm also really passionate about gender diversity and equality in science, technology, engineering, and math. So I'm so excited to present to you all today.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm Jacqueline Lee. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer or CEO of PolyUnity. And I am also the chair of techNL. So super excited to work with Susan and her team all the time on great projects just like this. So let's jump into who we are. Polytech Inc. We are a startup that started a couple years ago. Our mission is to empower passionate healthcare providers to reimagine better outcomes. So what does that mean? We make 3D printed medical devices for healthcare. And the cool part, I think, of what we do is all of our ideas come from frontline healthcare workers, from nurses or doctors or lab techs. They tell us the ideas that they have for better innovations or better products, or even they tell us about the problems that they have. And we help design with them and create with them great solutions, and we do it really quickly. I just ran some numbers then. These change daily, so they're probably higher already, but so far to date, in the last year and a half or so, we've repaired over 1,000 pieces of equipment inside of hospitals, and we have manufactured 8,517 products. So we're so proud of our work. We have 18 employees on staff so far. 4 of them today are students. We have 7 product designers, 4 software developers. We have 3 people in marketing and sales. We have 1 accountant, 1 people person, 1 data analyst, and 1 hardware specialist. Most of us are here in St. John's, and we also have a little team in Ottawa. All of our customers so far, they're pretty large healthcare organizations, and they're all in Newfoundland or Ottawa.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about 3D printing now. So if you don't know what 3D printing is, it's kind of like a high-tech hot glue gun. So filament goes in as a solid, it heats up, and it comes out the nozzle as a liquid. It lays layer upon layer on a cool base. Once it cools, it becomes a solid again, and lays another layer on top of itself until eventually you can print something like this. So when most people think of 3D printing, you probably think of gadgets, toys, figurines, but it's so much more than that. 3D printing can be massive, like the examples you see here. It can be minuscule, like the examples you see here. And it can even be edible. So there are 3D printers that print chocolate, and even some kinds of vegan steak, which is really interesting to me. And it can also be organic. So scientists are working on 3D printing skin, organs, bones, anything you can imagine can be 3D printed. And so it is a developing industry, but it can be used to improve healthcare outcomes. So here at PolyUnity, we use it to build customized solutions and training devices for medical students. So I'll talk a little bit about my role at PolyUnity. I was a junior product designer on my work terms, and it was a very creative role. I got to take part in a lot of client meetings. I got to do 3D modeling, 3D printing, and I used a lot of critical thinking, problem solving, and everything I have learned in my engineering degree so far. But a product designer does not necessarily have to be an engineer. You can be a technologist or just someone really passionate about designing.
Catherine, before you go ahead, can you go back to a couple slides where you had some pictures of, that slide. Can you explain what some of those are so we can hear a little bit about it?
Sure. So the simulation on the left my left. It looks like it might be our tibia interosseous infusion simulation, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I don't know if we want to give it away right now or we want to wait. But
That's okay.
No, yeah. And the customized solutions is the really cool part about 3D printing. So you can come in and have your foot scanned, for example, and we can print you an orthotic day of. And if your foot changes, you can come back in and we can scan your foot, print another one, same day. So the possibilities are really endless with 3D printing, especially in fields such as, like the finger splint shown here. Everybody's fingers are different. Everybody's feet are different. One size does not fit all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My turn. So what do I do as a CEO? Susan asked me the top 3 words to describe my role. So I said leadership, direction, and finance. Every day is different. From meeting with clients and suppliers to meeting with investors to try to raise money, to interviewing new employees to grow our teams, to doing media spotlights, to making decisions. Every day is incredibly different, which brings with it a level of excitement and fun. The skills that I need, all of the top C's, I would think, are critically important to what I do every day, from critical thinking to collaboration to creativity and communication. It's all critical to my role to lead the company. The education that I had to get here, I never had access to opportunities like this. I never had any role models early in my career to tell me what path I might be interested in. I was good at math, and I liked numbers and money. So I picked e-commerce. I picked business because I thought it was the most general thing. And I also did an economics degree at the same time, and then a few years later got my accounting designation. But I started out in the real estate industry and property management, and eventually found my way to tech. It was an accident, a happy accident. I'm so glad I'm here. It's such an exciting role, but I never thought of myself as a technical person, and so delayed looking at this sector. So that is certainly a misconception I want to overcome with this group and wherever I go, that you do not need to be technical to have an amazing career in the tech sector. And some reasons why I love it so much. The market is global. The little tiny of Newfoundland, province of Newfoundland and Labrador can compete on a global scale. We can have huge impact and we can solve some big problems. And this is that picture was a cool highlight in my career. This is Jamie King, the founder of Verifin, 20 years later, talking about the incredible sale of his company. And I'm sort of at the stage where he was at the very beginning of Verifin. So all tech companies, I think, in Newfoundland and Labrador aspire to accomplish what Verifin did, and maybe even beat them. What's next? What's next, Catherine?
So next up, we're gonna show a little video. So I'll preface this by saying this is the product that PolyUnity created that I'm most proud of, and you'll see I have a bit of a personal connection to it, and I'll chat a little bit about it after we watch the video.
Cancer treatment is not easy treatment, and when you're talking about treating someone's skin, it can be quite unpleasant. So anything that we can do to make their experience better, we want to do for them. To deliver a radiation to a tumor that's on the surface of the skin, we need to put a material on top of the skin so that the radiation dose can be adequately deposited to a surface tumor. To do that, we use a tissue equivalent material, and to do that we had to take wet plaster bandages, get them to lie still, put these on, let them harden. So then we would take those plaster bandages, take them to our mold room area, mix up plaster of Paris, pour that in, let it dry, peel off the plaster bandages. A lot of time wasted for mostly the patient, and for the staff as well. But now we have the technology where we don't have to put patients through that, and I think that is the biggest advantage right now to 3D printing. It's just the improved patient experience.
Originally, what drew me to engineering was I liked hands-on building, I liked problem solving, and I wanted to help people in my career. For me, the bolus is incredibly impactful to my life because when I was 12 years old, my grandmother was diagnosed with brain cancer. She had to lie on a table, be covered in plaster, and she couldn't understand what was happening to her. You know, it was really hard on everybody around her, but if this were to happen today, PolyUnity would simply be able to take her CT scan or even just take a scan of her face and print this positive mold, and then that would be used to mold the bolus used on her face. She wouldn't have to sit there, she wouldn't have to have plaster all over her face. It would just eliminate all of the horrible pieces of this process, and I'm so glad we're able to do that for so many other families.
With the addition of 3D printing, we're now able to generate a product that is an exact duplicate of the patient. So then what we would do then is form a bolus material over this shape, and we can get highly accurate bolus for that patient, for the site that we want to treat, and have a much higher degree that the radiation is going to do what it needs to do in these little curves and areas that are hard to get to.
I think as we grow and we get new technology and new talent, I really believe that the possibilities of PolyUnity working in healthcare are endless.
Really, I don't see any limits with how 3D printing can be used to help our patients. It's really limitless.
Okay, so I think the video really speaks for itself, but I just think that it's so important to show everybody how PolyUnity is changing lives. Okay, so I'll pass it back to Jacqueline to talk about some of our products.
So these are some just cool images of some of our products so far. Just a quick snapshot. We've actually made 212 products so far, completed projects so far. And I've got a few examples to show with me today here, but this is, like Catherine said earlier, we have I think you can see it with my picture on. Yeah, this is a tibia simulation model for an adult. And we also made child versions, and we played around with different skin colors to try to get some diversity representation. But doctors can learn on these tools before they actually practice on a live human or child. The top parts simulates silicone, or what the skin actually feels like. And they're practicing with incision tools or needles or whatnot. So you got to get a really good, accurate picture of what it's going to feel like when you practice on a live human. But then the skin can come off, and then we have this different kind of material, this denser silicone that simulates muscle. And then under that, we have all of the leg bones and the joints. So they can practice inserting needles right into the vein or into the marrow, and learn how to inject liquid into the proper spaces. So that's one really cool idea. This is another one we've made. Yeah, maybe Catherine, you want to stop screen sharing for just a sec? This is a mini therapeutic inhaler. So we have made probably 5,000 of these things so far, and mental health and addictions clinics and pharmacies all over Newfoundland and Labrador are using these to help with smoking cessation programs. So it's really a nifty design. Patients are actually requesting hours now than the ones that they can buy in a pharmacy because they're easier to get apart, and they last longer. So that's a really cool story. One more story, and then we're going to move along. These are our vaccine trays. I think you can, and they come apart and they're stackable, and we've made all different sizes of dimensions, and we can stack it up as high as we want. And they were designed to fit really well into the Credo freezer cube so that we can transport medical doses in safe environments under extreme temperatures. So we designed these early in COVID when the Pfizer vaccine vials came to us. They came in gigantic pizza boxes with 1,000 vials per, tightly packed in each box. And we had no way to quickly distribute them to smaller clinics for to give to the public. So they posed the problem to us, and within 48 hours, we had a prototype in their hand, and within a couple of weeks, we had hundreds of these in circulation throughout the province. We had the most successful COVID vaccination program in the country in the early COVID days, and I think we played a part in helping achieve those great rates. So, Catherine, if you want, unless you have anything to add, if you want to reshare again, and we'll keep it moving.
Perfect. It's so exciting. All of the products that PolyUnity has been able to create. Hopefully you can see my screen there again. So now we're going to talk about diversity in tech. So I'm going to share a couple of stories. These are not my own stories. They're stories I've read. But did you know that cars were designed by men for male bodies? That's something that I find really upsetting because women are much more likely to die in a car accident or to be seriously injured in a car accident than men. And that's because seatbelts aren't designed for women, and crash test dummies are actually, they're all designed after the male body. Another example of this, have you ever held an iPhone in your hand and thought, this is a little too big for my hands, or this is a little too big for my pockets? So the iPhone was designed to fit into male hands and male pockets. And another example that I'll share, there are so many, but I'll keep it to 3. So I read a story about a Black woman who went to a conference on AI technology. She tried to use the technology, and it actually didn't even pick her up as a human. And she went to talk to the people who designed this software, and they said, oh, we only tested it on ourselves. And it was a group of white creators. So all this to say that diversity in the tech industry is so important, because if everybody is represented at the table, it will lead to better designs that work for everyone. So I'll throw it back to Jacqueline now. I'm sure she has a lot to add about this as well. I know it's something she's very passionate about.
Yeah, I could talk endlessly on this topic, so it was really difficult to get it down into a couple of sentences or comments. But this is a picture of our team last October being recognized by techNL in the community for our work in community outreach and DEI initiatives. So we take it very seriously at this company. We love learning about it, and then we love sharing that knowledge when we do learn it. But women only represent about 27% of the workforce in the tech industry. So this is something we need to fix quickly. So this is part of why we're doing this today, to get more girls and young women interested in STEM careers and how exciting it can be. And it's a huge opportunity, I think, for Newfoundland and Labrador, as we're going to need thousands and thousands of these jobs as these companies like ourselves are growing. So this is something that we're asking you to be curious about and explore. So I think diversity is essential because it generates creativity and innovation. It creates better products. It improves products, like Catherine just said. All of those examples can make us angry, or they can make us excited about the incredible opportunities that are out there if we get more diverse representation on our design teams. I think it creates happier workplaces, and it creates more profitable companies at the end of the day by having that diverse perspective on your teams. And as I said, there's lots and lots of jobs, technical and non-technical, with great salaries. I've got several members on our team. One in particular was in the real estate industry for 20 years, and then was curious about engineering, went back to school, did a work term with us, and he's on our team full-time as a product designer. Another great leader on our software development team was a technician in the oil and gas sector for his entire career, and then was curious about software development, did the Get Coding program, and he's now leading our software development team. So the path through the tech sector does not need to be straight. You can explore it from many different ways. The education path does not need to be straight as well. So super exciting. If you're curious at all, we're about to get into a bunch of resources and places you can go to dabble in all kinds of fields to figure out where your passions are. So let's keep it, there we go. Catherine, you want to explain some of these cool programs?
Sure. So I'm going to chat a little bit about the ones that I have personal experience with. So the MATE ROV competition is a competition where you design and build a remotely operated underwater vehicle, and then use it to complete different tasks. So I did this when I was in high school, and it's one of the things that really pushed me to pursue engineering as a career. I really enjoyed the designing, and just problem solving in general, but it also gave me a bit of an edge. Everybody wanted to be my lab partner because I already knew how to solder and how to use all of the tools in the machine shop when I went into engineering. So if you're thinking about maybe a career in engineering, it doesn't necessarily have to be the MATE competition, but there are lots of other competitions like this out there. Definitely get involved in one, see what you like, and more importantly, what you don't like. And another program I participated in was the WISE-NL Student Summer Employment Program. So this one is specifically targeted at women and gender diverse individuals, but it's a program where you get to work for a company for the summer and you get paid, which is exciting. But I got to work with the SEALs at the Ocean Science Center, so that was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. And definitely I made a lot of great connections there as well. Another great resource is techNL. So I know they have a student summer employment program as well for everybody and anybody. And I don't have personal experience with that because this started after I graduated from high school. But while I was working at PolyUnity, we had several amazing high school students join our team, and they worked with us the same as a full-time employee. One of our high school students actually helped design the inhaler that we talked about earlier. So there's so many cool resources out there, and I'll let Jacqueline talk a little bit more about the rest of them.
Yeah, techNL has just launched a new website as well, findyourfuturenl.ca. So there's lots of info in there if you're a high school student, if you're wondering about what to do when you move post high school. Lots of resources on there to help you find your way. Brilliant Labs, I think we got Mike here represent Brilliant Labs. Those are an amazing partner that the NLESD has. I think one of their main goals is to try to get equipment, even 3D printers, into every classroom or every school in the province. So we're going to do all we can to help with that. STEM for Girls, I think Leslie talked about this morning. It's a wonderful program. Free as well for all young women or identifying as women to participate in. There you go. Melissa talked about job opportunities for students this summer at Brilliant Labs. Check it out for sure. And there's lots of other ones here. So I think Susan and I, by the end of this, we can maybe assemble a long list of all the recommendations of tools and resources that you can check out. There's no shortage of ones. Catherine's going to talk about a design challenge on the next slide, but Tinkercad. So we actually use Fusion as our software development, as our design tool, for all of our products here on our P&D team. The same folks have also got this Tinkercad software. So, and it's created for youth. It's free to join. It has all kinds of tutorials and classrooms and videos. If you know nothing about it at all, or if you already know lots, this is a great place to start and explore and keep your curiosity growing. So the design challenge, I think, that Catherine's going to present, this is a great place to start and get curious about possible solutions. And if you don't have a 3D printer in your school, I implore you to reach out to Mike or someone on his team, and they will help you get what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a little design challenge for you all. So, sorry, I have to excuse my dog howling in the background. But the design
Those are our
challenge.
3 high school students, right, Catherine, that we had this
These
past
are
summer.
three high school students. So the problem statement is your teacher's running out of pencils. Students borrow pencils for the day, never return them, and they also lose their pencils and pens. So the challenge to you all is to create a product that will keep students' pencils in one place and attached to their desks, or create a system or a product that will remind students that they must return any borrowed pencils to their teacher at the end of each lesson. So if you have some time after you watch this video, maybe sit down, talk with your friends, share ideas, see what you can come up with, and you'll be surprised by how many ideas you'll have.
Catherine, could you copy the text from that and put it in the chat if you have a minute so that people have it there? Thank you.
I will do that at the end. I think there's one more slide and then I'll throw it in. Yeah, there we go. So I think that's everything from us, but we're really excited to hear your questions. I don't know if you have anything to add, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I hope there's questions. Let's keep the chat going.
Yeah, I'll stop presenting. Our contact info is there. Maybe I can copy that into the chat as well.
So Melissa Lee just put in the chat there. If you're not sure if there's a printer in your school, get in touch. Brilliant Labs has a list of who we have supported or who we can connect you with to get things printed. So thank you, Melissa, for that. I can kick off with a question just to get us moving. So thank you, Jacqueline and Catherine. I think you shared a lot of really interesting points, and I think we can all tell that you're really passionate and proud of the work that you do. It warms my heart to see you beaming with talking about your products and different things like that. So I guess in the future, so you're already working in the medical technology field, which can kind of seem very futuristic already. But where do you think this is going in the future with 3D printing? And you can focus on medicine, or if you think you can talk about it a bit wider than that if you'd like. But yeah, what do you think are some of the future adaptations of 3D printing?
I'll start out, but yeah, Catherine, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, because I don't think there are any limits. It's whatever your imagination can
Absolutely
ponder up. But it's definitely applicable to any industry whatsoever. Like anywhere it can have use, from rocket ships to food to building houses to products every day. I look around my house and I'm curious about what I can 3D print. But we're absolutely dedicated and focused on healthcare at PolyUnity for sure. I think as technology advances and as we grow a bit, I think we'll do much more with scan to print technology, like Catherine alluded to earlier. So really customized products that you can to every individual person, but on a really cost-effective and quick way. So whether that's orthotics or surgical planning tools or braces, knee braces, or all kinds of things. Right?
Yeah.
Where do you think it's going to go, Catherine?
This is an interesting question. From the perspective of someone who is taking quite a few courses on where engineers fit into medicine in the future, I would say personally, I think in the future we're going to be able to print 3D print organs, and instead of having to wait for an organ transplant, probably be able to take stem cells from you and make your own organs. That's where I see it headed, and that's where I hope it's headed. It's very exciting. There really are endless possibilities.
That is wild. Yeah, I think that's more exciting than the chocolate printer, although I'm still pretty interested in that. So maybe they're even. We had a really great question come in, and they said they have, Mark Walters said they have 12 3D printers at the school and have students who print with PLA. Can you talk about the different materials you print with and the types of printers needed?
That's a great question. Do you want to take this one, Jacqueline?
I'll jump in after, but you start. Yeah.
So at PolyUnity, we print with so many different materials. We also experimented with SLA, I think it's stereolithography. It's been a while, but that's a different type of printing where it's like a vat of liquid and you shock it with light and it turns into a solid. So that can be used for very fine details. But on the day-to-day, mostly what we use is PLA because it is the best for the environment. But we also use PETG, which is the same thing that water bottles, like plastic water bottles, are made out of. It's very durable and it has a higher temperature resistance. But more on the fun side, we also print with TPU, TPE, and different variations of the two. So TPE is kind of like probably the texture of a marshmallow, if I were to compare it to something. And TPU is more like a tire or an elastic band. So those are my favorites. I like printing with those because they're a lot of fun. We also have been experimenting with wax filament, but that's that's a bit more difficult. Not something we're currently printing with at the moment, but it's pretty cool. You can print something, make it a solid, and then heat it up and remold it again, which is crazy.
As far as equipment go, I guess we started off with like some cheaper models because we wanted a lot of printers instead of a few really good printers, especially back when we were making face shields. But we started off with Arion's 320s or 220s. Then we moved up to Prusas. Now we're playing around with some Bamboo Lab printers. We've partnered with some really cool Canadian manufacturers in Toronto called Mosaic Manufacturers. So we're going to be testing some of their really cool array systems. They actually put 4 printers inside this big enclosure. They're kind of similar to vending machines. I think eventually those will be in hospitals and they'll act as like vending machines. So you have 4 printers and 8 material lines go into each one, and you can have multiple colors and multiple types of materials. Really cool stuff.
Very cool.
Lots of possibilities out there.
Definitely. And there is a metal 3D printer coming to the province. I don't know if it's here yet, but I don't know if you know much about that.
We will be, we're in contact with Atlantic XL all the time. But I can't wait to go out and test their machine.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So we are at 1:45, but we were a few minutes late starting. So I just want to leave it for a few minutes. If people have to drop off, that's okay. But if there's any other questions from our student body, our teachers, any of the program specialists want to jump in and ask a question.
I think Melissa has one about sustainability. So this is really important to Catherine. She did a lot of research during her time with us on our environmental impact.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it, but I'll definitely jump in afterwards. One of the big things with environmental impact is about the carbon footprint, right? That's the big, those big, the words in the media about environmental impact. And one of the things about PolyUnity that's so great is when we print something and we bring it to your office, we're driving in our cars across the province at the most, but usually like 20 minutes down the road, because we can print it and deliver it to you in the same place. So we're not wasting energy or fuel, shipping these massive products across the country. And it's like, that is one of the big things that we're solving here at PolyUnity. And the other thing is that we typically use PLA because it is better for the environment. And it's important to understand as well, durability versus reusability. So that's kind of why sometimes we have to use PETG. If you're going to use it once, then PLA is probably fine. If you're going to use it 10 times, then PETG is probably better. But I think the PLA, there's a group here in Newfoundland working on now a recycling machine for PLA, which is really cool. It's currently in the testing stages, but basically you would grind up failed prints and heat them up and turn them back into filament, which is really impressive to me. And then another way that we use, we reuse our old prints. So I think there's a picture on our Facebook page of me like going through the garbage at PolyUnity because I was looking through some of our failed prints and I sent them off to local schools as examples of, if this happens, this is what's wrong with your printer. This happens, this is what's wrong with your printer. So there are so many ways that we're trying, to be as sustainable as possible. But I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Jacqueline?
Yeah, I think you alluded to several things, but a bunch of our products replace single-use items. So traditionally, products would have been thrown out after each individual use, for example, like these inhalers. But now with our products that can hold up better over the test of time and over temperature, and can survive going through autoclave machines, for example, we can use our products over multiple times. So that's really cool. Where, like Catherine said, we did order a bunch of types of filament to experiment with that had claims that they were recyclable or biodegradable over time. So not quite there yet, I don't think, with the technology, but it changes every day. So I anticipate at some point we'll be using PLA that can biodegrade under certain conditions.
Yeah, and if you didn't know, PLA is made from corn. Just a fun fact. I like to share that fact because I think it's cool that it's made from natural materials.
And the 1,000 pieces of equipment, that we repaired, like we're going in hospitals and they have like graveyards, rooms full of equipment that they can't use, and we're resurrecting this stuff and getting it back in operation. So I think that has an environmental impact to it as well. I cut you off. Sorry, Susan.
No, that's okay. I was just jumping in to say, if I'm someone who's thinking of a business idea, or I have that type of mindset where I'm hearing a problem and I want to find a solution. You just mentioned about 5 or 6 different business opportunities that students could take and figure out the solutions to, right? Whether it's recycling or managing waste or reusing products in different ways. Like, I think there is just some really exciting entrepreneurial kind of nuggets there that someone could take and run with. So thank you for sharing that. If there's any other questions, I believe maybe we'll probably clue up now, I would say. Stacy, do you think?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody. That was fantastic.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to our 2 guests, Catherine Ledwell and Jacqueline Lee from PolyUnity, for joining us and taking the time to share with everyone their passions and their interests and their experience in the tech sector. So if there's any questions, I think we'll repost that form, Stacy, that teachers can get in contact with us, with any of our guests, and ask specific questions or ask for more information. And like we mentioned, we're going to get a list of resources that we're going to keep as a running tally for anyone who's interested. But thank you to everyone who's listening, and we'll hopefully see you at the next one on April 17th.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jacqueline, Catherine, and Susan. We really appreciate it. And yes, April 17th, we'll have Verafin and Other Ocean. So we look forward to that and continuing the series. Thanks to all the students and teachers who came out today.